Hi everyone, this is Karen and from Geek 2, and I'm trying something new. I thought that I would try streaming some of my favorite games. Hi everyone, this is Karen and now I'm muting the YouTube thing so I don't have to hear myself talking while I'm trying to talk. Just give me 1 second, we're going to start in just a second. I am just going to share this to Twitter. And double check what account I am using here. Okay. I did do a little test of this before, but it was a private one, so I didn't actually have to try and do some stuff like send a tweet saying, hey, I'm actually streaming. It would be helpful if it would let me switch accounts, but I think I'm logged into my personal account on my computer, so anyway, I'll just do it from my personal account and then share. So yeah, I thought I would do a live stream of some Long Dark, basically. Mainly because this is something I've wanted to do for a while, is try streaming, and I thought, what the heck, I will give her a go. And what better to do than to play some Long Dark, because everything changes tomorrow with the Long Dark. I put a little bit in the description below, but basically the Long Dark is a survival game set in the Canadian wilderness after a geomagnetic disaster, which has basically wiped out all electronics. Basically, you are a survivor who has to try and forage for food and supplies and try and avoid the wildlife and not die for as long as you can. And basically, until tomorrow, the game has been in sandbox mode, which is where you just try not to die. You just wander around, find your stuff, try not to die, see how long you can go, especially in the different difficulties, and, you know, explore the maps and stuff. Tomorrow, August 1st, story mode finally launches. So excited. The only bad thing about it is it's a Tuesday, so I will be working when I could be spending that time playing the Long Dark. But I am super excited. They posted a trailer a couple months ago. They posted another trailer a few days ago, and then today they launched one. They announced that they have been, you know, in talks to make a movie, an actual Hollywood movie, and they released an amazing live action short film based on the game, which is just, it is beautifully shot and beautifully written, and they got Christopher Plummer to do the voiceover, which is like, I can't even. So you definitely need to go see it. I will link to that in the info for the stream. Actually, I don't have it in there right now, but I'll put it in later. It's called Elegy, if you want to find it. It's just gorgeous. So yeah, I am super excited for tomorrow, but I thought I would do a little stream right now because I kind of wanted to do a stream where I show people who listen to the podcast what the game is like, and like sort of like a little tutorial on how to play it. I should say I am not a terribly experienced gamer. I've got quite a few hours into this game. I've got like 60 hours in this game now, I think. But I'm not overall a big gamer, or well, I haven't been until fairly recently, which is why this is called noob gaming. I'm the noob here, people. So I should say, like, I don't play in a way that sort of like optimizes everything as much as some people would. I don't play on like terribly hard difficulties just yet. So like, I'm sure there's ways I could be like doing this more optimally, but whatever. It's my game. I'm having fun. And you don't have to watch if you don't really want to. But if you've, heard me talk about this game and are curious about how it works, then like, I'll show you. I'll give you an idea of how it works. And then you can go off and see if you want to like buy the game. And then maybe tomorrow, maybe Wednesday, I will do some streaming of Season 1, Episode 1, Wintermute of the Long Dark story mode. I cannot wait. So let's get into it, shall we? It's going to take me just a second to make sure that like everything is set up properly, because I just want to double check that like the audio is going to work once I switch over to the game. So let me just give me 1 second to prepare. I've actually got 2 different sets of headphones in my ears right now. Oh my god, no, I don't care. YouTube, I don't care about YouTube gaming, come on. Can I not watch with the actual app? See things I am finding out. Maybe if I sign in with my new Geek 2 account, that'll actually work. Okay, I've got the live stream from 3 days ago on here. No? Okay, there I am. Okay, yeah, so I am ready to go. Okay, so actually here, I will go back. I'm just going to double check that things are... because I'm not sure you're getting the audio from my game. technical difficulties here, people. Of course, part of the thing here is I actually just have one screen, so once I put on the game, I can't actually see what I'm doing, or see what's going on in my streaming thing. Okay, I think the audio is actually coming through. So, I will figure out which... Okay, put in the right headphones. Technical difficulties. Okay, so, The Long Dark. As you can see, here are some of the gorgeous graphics for the game. I'm going to open up the live chat on here, just so I can watch it. Okay. Just in case anybody else joins us. So as you can see, there's a whole bunch of options here at the side, which appear when you mouse over them. Of course, there's story mode, which doesn't appear until tomorrow. We've got sandbox mode. They also have a number of challenges that they've been doing. Basically, it's to give you a little bit more focus in your gameplay before story mode. They also tend to be fairly difficult for some of the people who enjoy like the more difficult stuff. So we have Hopeless Rescue, where you have to retrieve a distress pistol from one place on the map and get to another place from the map and fire it. We have the Hunted Part 1, where there's a bear that's after you and you have to like get across the map to a couple to a location to grab a gun. It's the only one that will actually kill it. Hunted Part 2, where you actually go back chasing the bear. Whiteout, which is where you have a monster blizzard that's arriving in 30 days and you have to stockpile enough food, water, supplies in a specific location before it hits. Then there's also Nomad, where you have to keep moving. Basically, as it says, you can survive for 3 days in 15 specific locations across the game world. So we are not going to do any of those for today. There are also, when your characters die, or actually I should say, like when you are playing the game, you have a journal which sort of tracks your progress and stuff. It says like where you visited, and you can write notes to yourself, and you can, see like different stats. Like we'll open it up, and when you die, you can choose to archive it. As you can see, these are ones where I died from a wolf attack and from blood loss, probably again from a wolf attack. These are two where I played on one of the harder difficulties. So you can view it and see, you can see the stats. These are the kind of things, these stats you can see live while you're playing the game. I'll show you it. And then it also gives you all these sort of different stats that you have. How much meat you've consumed, how many different kinds of animals you've hunted, and number of times you've had different ailments: food poisoning, dysentery, infection, hypothermia, cabin fever, intestinal parasites. Yay. So there's stats, there's collectibles, which I haven't actually found yet any. There's skills in the game. You basically, by doing certain things or doing research, you can level up your skills, which usually means that then, things get easier, like with fire starting, your chance to start fires gets better, that sort of thing. Then you also have the journal, where you have, locations that you visited, your condition, how many calories you burned, etc. And one thing you can do is in the notes tab, you can, I don't think I did it here, because it would usually be a little icon showing you. I'll go back, and my other one, view, journal. Yeah, there we go. So you can actually write journal entries, and you can do this Some people do this to track like what they're doing or where they've left stuff. So like if they have certain locations where they've cached stuff, they will leave a note. I like to do it as sort of like in-character journal entries. Because I'm a nerd like that. And plus then I can sort of take my experience of playing the game and sort of be like, translate it into the character's experience. Like right here, where this is the first time I killed a wolf. This part, I have to admit, as much as I was hurting when I saw that thing running away bleeding, I wanted to follow it, track it down, and slit its fucking throat. It felt powerful, even though I'd just been mauled. I have to admit, I did kind of feel that when I was actually playing. So I had other saves with more extensive notes, but those got wiped in the last update. I should mention I am playing alpha version. This is the alpha version, so early release. Version 0.426, which is called Faithful Cartographer. I almost blanked on it. They have the cool names for all the update versions. This is the latest version of the game before release tomorrow. So let's go into, I should show you, there's also badges. I haven't completed any of the feats yet. I am on my way. Completing research or spending days outside. Efficient machine. Firemaster. Freerunner. Oh wow, I am almost finished Freerunner. I didn't even realize that. Snowwalker. And there's also, badges for the challenges. Options, I'll just, there's a whole bunch of different options here. First thing, whenever I start a game, first thing I do is I check key bindings. So I'm currently using the keyboard and the mouse. But yeah, check your key bindings, people. Audio controls, I think we've got everything set up there. So let's go into Sandbox. Ooh, and they're playing the 2 hours till, let's see, 2 hours till sunset music in the background. Okay, so Sandbox. So here's my current save. Like I said, when they updated to Faithful Cartographer, I lost, basically it wiped all the saves because they were completely rebuilding certain aspects of the game. It's the sort of thing where like they built the game and then they sort of like, bodge this here and bodge this here and bodge this here until finally it's like there's all these patches and patches and patches and like it's like, well, we could just, rebuild and make it sturdier. So I lost my saves. And so let's start a new sandbox. Create. So there's a whole bunch of different difficulty levels. We start with Pilgrim. Okay, I'm back. Mom needed to ask me something. Okay, yeah, so we start off with Pilgrim, which is the easiest one. As it says, wander the quiet apocalypse to chronicle the passing of an age. This is the poetry of survival. So, for newer experienced players, most interested in pensive exploration, most survival elements are tuned to be very forgiving. So basically the weather won't be as bad. And there'll be quite a bit of loot that you'll be able to find. Wildlife will not attack unless provoked, and you really need to provoke them. I've walked like right up to a wolf and it's run away. I've shot at things and it's run away. I don't know if I've tried shooting at a bear yet in Sandbox. Maybe we'll try that today if we find the gun. And allows for 5 active feats. One step up from that is Voyager. So equal parts hunter and hunted. Your struggle to survive will eventually lead to mastering the elements. So wildlife is sparse, but it can seek you out. Elements are challenging, but resources are plentiful. Go to STALKER, which is much more difficult. From what I've heard from people, it's all wolves all the time. So your demise waits behind every hilltop, shelter, and tree. Only the strong survive. Hostile wildlife is common and will hunt you down. Like, they will actively find you. And there's much less loot on the board. And then we have finally Interloper. You are not part of Mother Nature's plan, and you will bear the full force of her wrath, the true test of human versus nature. So yeah, in this one you start with really minimal resources. You have to craft everything. There's basically, I don't think there isn't a gun in that level. You have to craft a bow and arrow to survive. You have to craft, fishing line and hooks and stuff. And with this one especially too, with all the levels, the weather will get worse. It will get colder as it goes on, but especially with Interloper, it gets more and more hostile the longer you go to see how long you can survive. So I am not going to play on that, because for the purposes of explaining, I think we'll go with Pilgrim for now. Also because I am a chicken. I've played on Pilgrim and I've played on Voyager. I'm working my way up. But yeah, so we'll go with Pilgrim. We have different regions. There's Mystery Lake, which is probably the most well-known one. It's ideal for new players. Quite a bit of wilderness, but there's also quite a few man-made shelters, and it connects to a couple different places. Coastal Highway is a little bit more difficult for intermediate players, especially depending on what difficulty you're on. Lots of shelters and resources, but lots of wildlife too, especially if you're playing on a difficulty where they will eat your face. Desolation Point, again, key shelters, harsher weather conditions, but things are a little bit more spread out. Pleasant Valley, which is advanced, which is basically like only a few different key shelters, with a lot of open space between it and lots of wildlife. Timberwolf Mountain, which is pretty difficult from what I've heard. It's pretty isolated, not a lot of shelters, and the weather can get pretty bad, especially when you try and scale the mountain. And the most recent one, Forlorn Muskeg, which is the most punishing from what I've heard. It's basically, there's like 2 shelters there, only one of which actually is like an indoor shelter. The place is covered in ice, which is often weak. And like the weather is terrible, and there's lots of wildlife. But we're not going to start there. We'll go back to Mystery Lake. So I'll start with Mystery Lake because that's really the easiest. I play as the female survivor all the time because I want to, because I can. And let's name the sandbox Noob. Except mysterious geomagnetic storm has brought your plane crashing down into the North Canadian wilderness. How long can you survive? It is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent that survives. It is the one that is most adaptable to change. Charles Darwin. Okay, so where have we spawned? I think I know. There's a wolf right over there. Good thing I chose Pilgrim. So yeah, there's a few different areas in the world where you will spawn. Last spawn, I got really lucky, and I actually spawned indoors. I was like, really? I'm playing on Pilgrim. You don't need to do that much. But I think I know where we are. Okay, so to start off, first things first. Tab button gives us our heads-up display, so we can see our stats. Along the bottom of the screen, you can see our cold, fatigue, thirst, and hunger, as well as the overall life meter at the bottom left corner. Top right corner, you can see sort of the general sort of time of day hint. We used to give you like 12 hours of daylight left, 6 hours of darkness left, but now they just sort of give you this which is a lot cooler, I think. Next thing to check, let's check our inventory. Yeah, so start off with a fair bit. Let's go to our status first. So you can see this is where we can see what we're wearing. Air temperature is currently -23. Wind chill feels like -5. So it feels like -22 Celsius. I'm playing on Celsius and metric because I'm Canadian and I understand that stuff. No afflictions at the moment. Man, even playing on Pilgrim, that sound, man, goes right up the back of my neck. Yeah, so you can see we're warm, but rapidly getting colder because it's -22. Rested, thirst is slaked, and we're full. So this gives you a rough idea of what clothes we're wearing. Let's skip over to the clothing tab. This will give you details about what you're wearing. So there's 2 head slots. You've got the toque. I guess it's called a toque, as it says in there. And I love that it's got the Canadian maple leaf. Yay, Hinterland, Canadian indie game developer. We've got the scarf, a worn wool scarf. It also gives you condition, and down here it gives you how much warmth bonus it gives you, how protective against the wind, how much protective it gives against getting damp, whether it impedes your sprint, how much protection it gives you against attacks, its condition, and its weight. You can actually, we won't be able to do it right now, but you can actually repair things. Oh, actually I do have cloth, so I could repair it, but I won't at the moment. So it gives you repair skill, how much it'll, repair it, and your chance of success. So let's go back. So, decent thin wool sweater, worn fleece mittens, pair of jeans, worn jeans, and decent thermal underwear. Worn sports socks, thin cotton socks. Yeah, those aren't gonna be good. And like decent leather shoes, like some leather shoes that look good on Bay Street. I didn't notice that before. Yeah, Bay Street is the the banking center in Toronto. So yeah, so look good on Bay Street, but we'll probably get you killed out here. Hope you have some warm socks. No, we don't. Cotton is terrible. In the cold, it does not provide any warmth whatsoever. So, okay, so first things first, let's grab some of this. Harvest old man's beard lichen. Lichen found in the ancient forest of the Pacific Northwest, and with the little icons up at the just above the name of it. The first one is crafting, the second one is medicine. So you can use it for crafting. You use it for crafting bandages. So you can make medicine. Boop. But yeah, basically you highlight over something. You can see the little white dot in the screen. Whoops, come on. There we go. And then you can, in the settings, you can either set it to like hold. Right now I'm holding down the left mouse button. Or you can have it just click once and it will harvest. So we need that. We need... Oh, we don't have... That's a branch. Oh, I should show you. So here we've got all of our stuff. And up here, it gives you the weight of your backpack. So you have how much the stuff weighs right now, and what the capacity is. Or the ideal capacity, I should say. So this is everything. This tab right here goes to all the fire starting stuff, all the first aid stuff, clothing. You can also access the repair actions and stuff here, so that this lets you manage clothing as well. Food and drink, we do not have much. Tools, in a lot of cases you will start with a bedroll in a lot of difficulties. Interloper you won't. And the bedroll is like one of the most important tools you can have, because if you forget it, you will die. And material, we have 2 bandages, we have a piece of cloth, and now we have those old man beard. I should also mention we also have, this is our journal. So general notes, day 1, shows the locations, and then, whoops, press the I button again. We also now, with this with this update, we have a map that you can make. Okay, I know you're getting cold. Yeah, so we haven't updated it yet, so we will just go back and... Okay, we go try and find shelter. And if I hold down the shift button while I'm walking, you can see the sprint icon at the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. Sprinting will use up your energy, so it will make you more tired more quickly, so you don't want to sprint everywhere. And it definitely does take time for the sprint to regenerate, which really makes sense. I'm just going to pick up a whole bunch of sticks. Oh yeah, I totally know where we are. Okay, good. We are not that far from shelter. And there is probably some food. Well, I'm not going to say probably some food. I'm going to say hopefully some supplies just over here. Because you see those birds circling. When you hear the crows, look in the air. And see if you can see them circling, because if you see them circling, that means there is a corpse of some kind nearby. Fortunately, it's frozen. We don't have anything to... We don't have anything to do to cut it with. I've got the crow feathers though, so we can use those for... This is for crafting. Okay, so we're gonna have to come back. But if I go up this hill, I'm gonna sprint because I can. And you'll notice in the sprint bar there's this little red section right at the beginning. That is how much your sprint is impeded, or how much less sprint you have based on your fatigue and how much weight you're carrying. And here we are, yay, we are at Trapper's Cabin, which is a good place to find loot. You'll see rabbits over here. Some of the new mechanics just introduced is you can grab stones, which you can use as rudimentary hunting and defense. I have yet to actually, hit anything with a stone yet, but technically you are supposed to be able to, kill rabbits with it. Nope. There we go. Yeah. So I just pressed the 2 button, which is what I have it set to. So you aim by pressing the right mouse button, and you throw by pressing the left. And I am... shit. Oh, uh-oh. Crows are flying away. Okay. When you see crows flying away like that, that sometimes means that the weather is about to change. And the bunny saw me and he's running away. Oh well. Don't worry, little bunny. I have yet to actually hit a bunny, which is kind of fine with me, because one of the things they just added in this update is now you throw stones at rabbit. You can throw stones at anything. But they're especially used for hunting rabbits. As in, you throw the stone and hit the rabbit and daze the rabbit. And then you pick up the rabbit and you can press 1 button to put it down and let it go away, and you press 1 button to snap its neck. So I have not yet tried that, but let's go inside. And I'm gonna grab some tea. A couple swallows of tea for me. Okay. So we've discovered Trapper's Cabin, which is often a good place to find loot, including a snare for killing rabbits, simple tools. Ooh, yeah, I'll show you that in a minute. Sewing kit, granola bar, celery.
Nobody needs this anymore.
Cardboard matches, newsprint, MREs. Pinnacle peaches, which are kind of an in joke with the community. Oh, can opener, which helps.
Come in handy.
Basically, when you can open cans before you have a can opener, basically by bashing them open, but you lose part of what's inside. You can also use a knife, but I think again you'll lose some of it. So can opener is definitely one of your best bets. Let's take a little look down this way. Oh, something under there. Summit soda.
Best be prepared for
Summit
anything.
soda cloth. Yeah, so basically opening drawers is the same mechanic as I was using with the moss. Oh, plastic container. Let's search that. New cotton toque. That's not going to be as good, but we can use it for mending. Scrap metal. Cloth. And then over here, let's hit Control to crouch, because we have a rifle cartridge.
I can use this.
Grab the rifle cleaning kit. Switch the metal container. Ooh, herbal tea, which again is food and medical stuff. Oh wow, look at that! I actually hadn't noticed that before when I've been playing this. The way the light comes in the windows. That's a bit of a change. Oh, I totally didn't even see that. Jerry can.
Looks like this has been here a while.
Well, not full, about half a liter of fuel. I may have to pause in just a second. Okay, now I'm back. Let's see. Locker, which is locked. Crap. Need the pry bar. Reclaimed wood. Rifle cartridge. Let's see. Ooh, and there is charcoal already in the stove. And you'll want to take that charcoal because that's what you're going to use to create the map. Basically, when you create a fire, you can harvest charcoal from that fire. Nothing in the backpack, damn it. You can harvest charcoal from the fire and use that to make your map. Sadly, no gun. Let's search the safe, shall we? Okay, so the safe is usually... Right now I'm pressing the arrow keys. You basically just have to hunt around. Some people will speed through it, but I just usually go real slow. I'm going the wrong way. What am I doing? Oh, shit. Okay, it was around 27 or something. Okay, back the other way. As you can see, the little locks unlock once we hit the right tumbler. And it's different every time. That's 2. Come on. And if you hit the wrong one now, you will have to start over. And I don't remember what the second number was. I think it was like 5 or something. Come on. Oh, there we go. Yes. Open the safe. Is there anything in it?
This will come in handy.
Decent face cowl. That's not bad. A military grade MRE. Another rifle cartridge. That's it. Okay. So, no, nothing else on the shelf. Oh, did we search that? Yes, we did. Okay. Yeah, so this is Trapper's Cabin. It's one of the main locations in Mystery Lake. Often the way people will play the game is they will find a base to hole up in where they will put all their stuff. Or, you know, they'll have one chosen base to put all their stuff, but they'll have other places with, you know, emergency supplies. So they can hole up there if they get stuck by bad weather. This one's nice because it has a bed, which gives you the option to sleep. You can also use that by putting down your bedroll. And you can choose how many hours to sleep. Right now we're not too tired, so I'm not going to sleep now. But it tells you how many calories you have right now in your calorie store and how many calories you will burn sleeping. So you know whether you will starve to death in your sleep, what it feels like currently now, and what the warmth bonus is that the bed will give you. There's also, it reduces your fatigue and it regains your condition if you've been injured. Lets you advance time. There's also past time, where you can just advance time. It doesn't give you the benefits of sleeping, but, you know, if you have slept, I usually just use it if, like if the weather's really bad outside and I don't want to go outside, you can pass time and wait, and you can actually hear the wind a little bit outside. Those wind effects and the sound effects will change based on the weather outside. So if I were to say wake up and find that the wind was howling outside, I'm like, okay, that's probably bad weather, I'm not going to go out. Or, you know, similarly, if you go to sleep a little early because your character's exhausted from doing stuff, and so you wake up early and it's too dark to really do anything, you can pass time for a little while until it gets light. But for the moment, we were going to close that, and we need a pry bar to get that open, so we might as well head out. Burr. Sadly, we did not find a knife or an axe. Oh. Again, let's check. Okay, it's not quite as cold now. As you can see, the status gives you a vague idea. Like you can see, like right now there's 2 arrows down for the cold, so it's pretty cold. But not yet, like, oh crap. Need to get inside right now. Yeah, it's a light on knife because there's another deer over here. That's 2 deers with meat. But we're gonna pick up firewood. Anything in here? There usually is, but I will sneaking in. I'm crouching right now using the control key. I will pop back up. That's enough feather. I don't care about feathers right now. Weather is not good. Let's see if we can make it to my preferred base. And what I think is really a lot of people's preferred base in the Mystery Lake. So we're gonna just sprint up this hill. I really don't want to abuse the sprint too much, but I'm gonna do it just for the moment. Oh, I meant to turn off the breath. That's, actually options. Display. View resolution. Controls. Display interactions. I think there's a spot. There we go. Okay, so let's shadow as a texture resolution. Excuse me, ambient occlusion, post effects. Isn't there something where I can control the breath? Tree draw distance, tree over distance, terrain details, density. I thought there was a spot I could control. Maybe not. Add normal subject language. Yeah, I thought there was a spot I could do the footprints. Yeah, I think there's a spot I could get rid of or change the breath effect. Go back to game so you can see it. So you can see bottom of the screen. You can see the character's breath. And I noticed when I was doing my test that sometimes the graphics got a little fuzzy during streaming. Whenever the character took a breath, or exhaled, I should say. Ooh, brick bark. Birch bark is another useful thing. Because basically, come on, there we go. Basically in the game there are a few different, ooh, sapling. There are a few different things you can do. Crafting, come on. I don't have a hatchet. Okay, so let's just get moving. There are a few different things you can do for crafting, and particularly with the birch bark, the important thing is for starting fires. When we get to where I want to go,
I'll take it.
she was losing that. Great. Okay. Let's go this way. Oh yeah, there's the train right there. Okay. I'll go this way. One of the handy things about starting at Mystery Lake is that there's a section which is sort of bisected by train tracks. So it makes it a little easier to navigate in certain areas of the map. Or to certain areas of the map. Particularly when the weather is bad. New location, rail tunnel. And we see circling birds again. So this time is a human corpse. And a knife. Yay. What's a knife? Nope. Skunk and everything else. Okay. I'll just take a quick look in here. Sometimes there's firewood and stuff over here. There is good. Yes, because I'm gonna need that for a fire later. This tunnel actually leads into the Forlorn Muskeg area of the map, which we are not going to go to right now. Oh, and there should be, yes, over here, a container,
Nobody needs this anymore.
flare, chocolate bar, first aid kit, energy bar. Okay. God, look at that. Graphics in this game are gorgeous. Just look at that scenery. So we're gonna follow the railroad tracks for now. To get to the spot I usually like to have as my main base. Mainly because it's sort of, at least it feels like it's roughly midway on the map. It's close to a couple different sources of good things. I'm gonna sprint a little bit, which is gonna burn me out, but I don't care. And it's got a lot of storage area. And most importantly, it has a bed and a stove. Which we'll see why those are important in a minute. Well, the bed we've already seen. The stove we will see, other than the obvious, in just a minute. Oh, some kind of wildlife. Usually it's a deer. Yeah. And the birds are flying away, so again, the weather could be changing. We're getting fairly tired. Still not bad for hunger or thirst. So basically the game is kind of, the role of the game is trying to kind of, you know, managing all those things. Like, you know, managing your fatigue, like trying to stay warm, and managing your fatigue when it's like blizzarding outside, but you really need to go outside to get food. Yay! And here's my favorite base, the camp office. With its Canadian flag out front. But first we're gonna go over this way. Because there's a dude over here. So this is actual Mystery Lake. I can't look at those graphics. It is gorgeous. If it wasn't so deadly, it would be amazing. So one of the nice things about there being a lake is there are cattails, which are both food. Cattail stalks are food, as you can see, and it gives you the stats on it. And the head can be used as tinder for making fires. Just gonna... Cattail stalks are a really good sort of emergency kind of food. They don't weigh a lot. You can find them around a lot of the areas in the game where you can find water, like lakes or rivers. So like they're the kind of thing when you're wandering around in desperation, you'll come across a lake or river and be like, oh thank God, cattails, just to keep you alive a little longer. And you can see over here we have fishing cabins. So you can see the reason I like this area, because it's right near fishing cabins, which means you can do ice fishing, which will get you food when you really need it. First, let's go loot the camp office. Let me look at this sign. Okay. And it's kind of neat the way that these locations in the game kind of become important to you. There is a feeling when I have been, you know, wandering around and finally get back to the camp office, it's like, oh, thank God I'm home. You know, or especially there was one time I was up near the trapper's cabin, near-ish the trapper's cabin. Loot, reclaimed wood, use for coal. More reclaimed wood. Good. I was up near the trapper's cabin and I got mauled by a wolf.
Looks like this has been here a while.
Get emergency stim. Emergency steroid injection. Provide a short burst of energy, then you'll collapse from exhaustion. I have never actually used one of those yet. I should give it a try in Pilgrim at some point, so I know. Got metal, new chocolate bar. Yeah, and this place is filled with loot. Use light shell. We're just gonna grab for now, and I will examine my stuff later. But yeah, and like I was saying, I was near the trapper's cabin. Just give me 1 second. Okay, back. Yeah, so I mean, I was at the trapper's cabin, got mauled by a wolf, was down to like 30% health. By the time I recovered, blizzard had set in. I can't remember if it was blizzard or fog. No, whoops, I need to put that away.
Best be prepared for anything.
2.45 liters, holy crap, that's pretty good. Weighs a lot, but okay. So, I can't remember if it was blizzard or fog. I think it was blizzard and then fog. And you could not see a goddamn thing. And I got down to like, I think it was like 11% health, and like I'm just wandering around and you literally can't see very far in front of you, and it's like, okay, gonna freeze to death because I have no idea where I am. I was literally probably walking in circles.
Okay.
Well, not, you know, literally, game literally. Oh, come on. Skunked. You know, game literally, I was walking in circles. Yeah, I know you're tired. And then I happened to come over this, I was just like, I gotta keep going. Like, I stopped to make a fire, to try and get my condition back up a little bit. But like, no, it wasn't much, because it was just blowing too hard. Yes, and the game we live in, hey, it's a radio. And that does nothing. So I just had to keep going, and ooh, field dressing your
This
kill.
stuff will come in handy.
Awesome. Improves carcass harvesting skill. Oh, and there's boots too. I just kept walking and kept walking and kept walking, and like, I just happened to come over this rise, and there was the trapper's cabin. Ooh, magnifying lens. Which you can use for starting fires. Bedroll.
I think I can use this.
And like, I swear, the relief I felt seeing the trapper's cabin when I'm down to like 12% condition, it was palpable.
I wonder if I can drop any of this gear.
Decent hoodie, awesome. Okay, let's open the wood stove, take charcoal, and let's just crouch. Put that away. Make sure I'm not missing anything. Sometimes stuff will be under beds. Okay.
This will come in handy.
Okay. So let's take a look at our loot. We are, as you can see, the amount we can carry is dropping because of how tired we are. Let's see, we got one bedroll that's 88%, one's 78%. 2 can openers. Cotton toque. Decent hoodie. Quite a bit of lantern fuel and shoes, tools. Okay. Okay, we got some stuff to work with here. See now, if you listen, you can hear the wind outside. It's just kind of neat that you can wake up in the morning and hear that, and like have a vague idea of what the weather's like. Oh, you'll notice now in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen there is a little weight symbol. That means we are encumbered. We are carrying more than our limit at the moment. So let's take a nap. For 2 hours, and we'll see where we are when we wake up. And this is also where the game saves. When you go into or out of a building or sleep is when the game saves. So there is no option to save otherwise, which is part of why this game is one of those games you can spend until like 2 in the morning playing. Like, oh, I'll just do one more thing. Oh crap, I gotta save the game. I gotta do one more thing. I gotta go to sleep. Oh wait, well, maybe I'll just do one more thing. Okay, so let's start a fire. So click on the wood stove, that opens it up, and here you have the fire starting menu, and my cat is whining outside my door, so give me 1 second. Yes, come in. Okay, so basically you have a base fire starting chance based on your skill. It gives you an estimated fire duration based on what you have selected here, and then the chance of success of starting that fire. And your chance of success will change based on what you have selected. So let's go, like, say we have cardboard matches, magnifying lens 0 because we're inside. Wood matches, we got 5% more chance of success of it starting. For tinder, you need a starter, tinder, and fuel until you get a certain level of fire crafting, basically. I can't remember how much it is, what level you have to be at, but there's a certain level you get to where you don't need tinder anymore, which is good because I nearly died one time because I did not have tinder, so I could not do a couple other things. So let's get this started. We're going to go with cedar that drops to 60%, fir that drops to 45%, 40%, 60% with sticks. Tinder usually doesn't change the percentage. It's mostly the starter, the fuel, and if you add accelerant that changes the percentage. And if you add accelerant, it goes up to 100%. We have lots of lamp oil. I'm just going to do that. Usually I wouldn't, but... So as you can see, at the moment it'll last 7 minutes. But let's start it. Okay, and we will add, if you click on the stove, I'll show you again in a second. Okay. Yeah, so once you've started a fire, if you hover the pointer over the front of the stove, it'll give you both the duration of the fire that you have left as well as the heat output, which is what the numbers that are going up right now. If you click on it, it will open the stove, and that gives you the stove menu, so you can add more things to the fire, like firewood, reclaimed wood. You can add some reclaimed wood. And each wood gives you different amounts of time and heat. So right now we've got about an hour. If I add reclaimed wood, that gives us about a half hour. And I'll add a few more sticks. Sticks will be good. 7 minutes. Okay, and then up here, you have the other options. You have the food option, which is where you can cook things, which is good because then you can avoid getting parasites when you eat food. If you're cold and you heat up something and you drink it, it will also give you a heat bonus if you need to warm yourself up. Right now we have the new Pinnacle Peaches. Actually, let's get rid of this for a second. That's our hunger. We can probably do it, yeah. So let's go. Let's cook up those peaches. I'm not sure how many people actually eat them. Oh, and I should mention too, you notice food has a condition as well, and food condition will drop based on how you're storing it. If you're carrying it around in your backpack, it will drop fairly quickly. Meat, if you store it outside, it will drop more slowly. Canned things or prepared things, if you store them in a container, like the drawers, they will decay more slowly. So let's go with cook. So it's using our can opener to open it. And we're cooking, let's see the time elapsed while it's cooking. And eat. Go back. And let's use the radial menu. So if you press spacebar on the keyboard, this is the radial menu you'll get. All sorts of different things. You got navigation, campcraft, first aid, drink, light sources, food, and weapons. We're gonna go with food. And there's our peaches. And you can see the heater going up. Yeah, benefit, warming up. The other thing the stove is really important for, possibly even more important for, unless if you're, other than cooking meat, is water. This is how you get your water. You'll notice we have potable and non-potable water. So let's melt some snow. You can click select how much you want to melt. And I especially like using liters because the weight to amount is even. So if you have 1 liter of water, weighs 1 kilogram. So it's easy to keep track. And then once you have melted the water, you'll see now we have 1 liter of non-potable water and 1 liter of potable water. Potable equals drinkable. So that non-potable water we need to boil, because that's how you get dysentery. Boil that up. There we go. Okay, so now we have 2 liters of potable water. Let's actually do, for 59 minutes, let's do another. It's often best to just boil as much as you can at a given time.
I'm not sure I can carry much more.
I know you can't, but I'm going to drop some of it, don't worry. I like to maximize what you get out of your fire. Let's toss in a stick if I need to, but I think I'm going to have to. Boil that. Okay. Because what you can do is you can boil water, and then let's go back, and you'll notice it has gotten dark outside. It's kind of neat. I noticed in one of my playthroughs on since the Faithful Cartographer update, if you happen to be looking in your window and you do something that excuse me, tickle in my throat, sorry about that. If you do something that happens to pass time and you happen to be looking by a window, you will actually see the light move across the floor. It's really cool. 9 minutes left, okay. But yeah, so now if we go into our inventory using the I still tend to use the I button. I started playing this game before they had the radial menu, or before there was as much stuff in the radial menu, so I still tend to go to the inventory to grab stuff. I know you're tired, just hang in there. Okay, so if we click on the water, you'll see we have the option drink or drop. So you can select how much you want to drop. And I can't see them right now because it's dark, but there are bottles of water at our feet. The same thing, you can also drop other items. So like I could go and I could be like, I'm going to drop this bedroll. And basically when we wake up in the morning, you'll find it in a pile where we just dropped it. You can't organize stuff. I usually don't. Let's see. Let's go to bed. Beds are to the left of the fire. Now we can't see anything. So let's, I'm going to hit the 1 key for a light source. Not the flare. There we go. Lantern. We'll light it for 2 seconds. There we go. There's the bed. Okay. So we will extinguish and go, here we go, bed. Let's sleep for 8 hours, that should be fine. And hey, if you watch this, I didn't really have like a huge plan when I started doing this. Other than just we'll play and we'll see what comes along. We are still just a teeny bit tired. And it's still dark, so let's sleep. I don't think we're going to get we'll go for 2. It'll wake us up when we're fully rested. Yeah, so you woke up fully rested. Let's... Oops. Bed. Let's pass time for an hour. And then we can sleep for an hour. Oh, I'm not tired enough. So I can't cheat it that way. I've cheated it that way before with 2 hours, but... Okay, there we go. Now it's enough to see. I'm going to holster that with proceed H. Oh, and now the fire has died. We can take the charcoal. I mean, now we have 2 charcoal for that. So we'll put that away. Yeah, so if... I didn't start playing with a huge plan of like, I'm going to talk about this and then this and this. I figured I'd just start playing and I would explain as we go. So if you have specific questions about what I'm doing, if I'm forgetting, if there's something I'm forgetting to explain while I'm doing it, I'm not going to, like, I figured I wouldn't explain like all the key bindings like every time I press a key and, you know, stuff, because that's what the key bindings are for. I figured I'd just sort of go along and explain as we go, based on what pops up on the screen. But if there are specific things you're wondering about, just let me know. Let's go over here so I can show you. So this is the workbench, which is good because then you can craft things based on what you actually have. Right now we probably can't make a hell of a lot because we haven't hunted anything. So you see we need cured gut and reclaimed wood to make a snare. We can make a hook because we've got scrap metal, and there's like a time required to do it, amount of required materials, and you don't have to do it all at once. You can like work on something for an hour and then work on something for an hour later, which is kind of handy. Rabbit skin mitts. They may make you fuzzy, but they're very warm, kind of like wearing a rabbit on your hands, because you kind of are. Oh, I should notice when it comes to sewing stuff, you have the sewing kit. Fishing tackle will also work. Deerskin boots, deerskin pants, bearskin bedroll, survival bow, wolfskin coat, bearskin coat. And it'll also...
I would drink just about anything right now.
Oh, yeah, we're thirsty. Okay, whoops, didn't see that. Yeah, so you can see when things get really low, they turn red. And they stay even when the HUD is not. So let's see. So we will drink. Let's do a soda, actually. That'll give us soda. God. I'm reading off the screen. Pop. Hello. We'll drink another one, because that'll improve. That'll give us some calories, too. There we go. Yay, empty calories. So yeah, and this is actually part of our journal, too. I think you can actually craft now without the table. I can't remember. We can try that out. But, let's see. Yeah, so then you press the hand and you've got this other stuff like... I think the hand is stuff you can do without the crafting table. The little hammer and anvil is stuff you need the crafting, you need the workbench for. So fishing tackle, bandage, tinder plugs, which are good for creating fires, and you can get those from sticks, you can get them from newsprint, and you can get them from newsprint rolls, which is good because actually if I go over to the stove over here, you can see for tinder you can actually use the newsprint itself or the newsprint roll for tinder, but it is way more efficient to use to create tinder plugs out of those. Let's go back and actually let's try radial menu. That's drink, that's first aid. Campcraft, I think it is. No. Campcraft, you can make a snare, or you can drop the snare. You can create a fire outside, pastime, bedroll, or create a snow shelter. Crafting, drop decoy, navigation, weapons, sources. Okay, guess not. Though I think with the stuff like newsprint, that you can harvest it just from the page, like just from the inventory, which is what I'm going to do right now. Yeah, so one newsprint created 2 tinder plugs, which is great. And we're going to harvest a newsprint roll, and that'll give us 4 tinder plugs. So do that again, which means it's that many more fires we can make. Oh, and then the other thing you can do, what I saw there, is we have reference books. So there's some books you'll find which are like this. You can't, it just has a sort of generic, it looks like a travel guide cover actually, a bit. It looks like a bridge. And I think it's Lonely Planet that's got the sort of blue band on it. But yeah, there's generic books that you can find that are basically just like fuel. And then there are specific books where you can actually see the cover and like read the title. In those you can do research, which will actually improve your skill without having to actually do it. So right now we have this much carcass harvesting skill. I think this might be carrying over from my other game, because we haven't actually harvested anything. So let's research for an hour. And you'll see all this stuff dropping while we're doing that. Okay, so 1 of 10 hours researched. Same thing with this one. Wilderness Kitchen, tips and tricks to prepare food in the wilderness. So like, that will give us better condition from our food. 2019 edition. I see they've just added that. They've updated that. Let's go with 1 hour researched. So yeah, and then once you've finished researching, then you can burn them. Which, as someone who works for a library, I usually would not be like, yeah, go ahead. But you know, this is a survival situation. Okay. Oh, it's got quiet outside. Okay, so let's go outside. I'll go out into the lake. So it could be quiet outside because it could have gotten foggy, which it has. Yeah. So you can see the fog. This fog is actually not too bad at the moment. It has been worse when I've been playing the game. This is actually not too bad because I can actually see that fishing hut from where I was. As long as you have enough visibility to see where you need to get to, then that's fine. It's when you don't that problems happen. So let's just scurry along to this fishing hut. Because you can often find fairly good loot in here. And maybe not so much today. Wood, we've got a rifle cartridge, but still no gun. Search the cupboard, nothing in there. Potbelly stove, there's charcoal left inside. Let's grab that and put it away. Okay, and there's the ice fishing hole. So basically, right now it's frozen. Back up a little bit. But if you click on the ice fishing hole, it'll give you an option. If we had a hatchet, it would give us the option of using that. Right now we've got a hunting knife. So let's, actually before I do that, I'm gonna double check and see if we actually have, oh yeah, okay, yeah, we've got fishing tackle. You need the hook and the line. And I thought we had a hook, but I didn't know we had a line. So let's use our hunting knife to break the ice. Okay, and let's do a little fishing. Again, you can select how many hours you want to do it. Yes! Lake whitefish.
Pack is getting kind of heavy.
Okay, so we found one fish, so it's not a lot, but let's just go with this for some time. Again, I'm probably murdering myself by like running this much, but there's places nearby. And some of the fishing huts have doors, which is good because sometimes animals will come after you and you can shut the door. Close the door. And it gives you a little bit more warmth bonus, which I should mention that little icon at the top of the screen. Oh, pry bar. Yes, thank you.
Well, nobody needs this anymore.
That little shield with a little curl in it that actually shows when you are sheltered from the wind. So right now we're sheltered from the wind because we're inside a building. So if I go to condition, we can see air temperature is -7. There's no wind chill because we're inside. But it feels like -2. So, you know, we're inside, but we're not that insulated. We've just got what our clothes are. If we were to sleep in our bedroll, that would give us a little more. It would probably be okay, as long as the temperature didn't drop too much. Though that can change very quickly, so you have to kind of be careful about that. But as you can see, you know, at the moment, it's a little, it's better than being like full outside. Search the cupboard, nothing. Let's grab that. Nothing on the shelf, and let's grab the charcoal. Okay, that's it. Ooh, that noise. Even though I'm playing on Pilgrim and they will run away when they see you, or when you get too close, it's still just, man, that sound. I'm playing on Pilgrim, it's hard to break the instinct of, oh god, where is it? So let's go over these cabins. Oh wow, there's 2 of them that have burned down. Basically these cabins, they're a varying spawn in the game. There will always be 3 cabins here, but 1 or more may... I hear the birds, but I don't see them anywhere. But 1 or more of them may have been may have just collapsed or burned down or whatever. So yeah, I was inside. We can't loot those ones. And depending on your difficulty, that will affect how many are available. Usually there are more on Pilgrim. Crate. Nothing on the shelves. The crates you can actually break down. Dog
This'll
food.
come in handy.
Can of wet dog food. Smells bad, but eating it is better than starving. Probably. You can see that one's at 40%, so we will probably want to eat it sooner rather than later. Crates and some furniture you can actually break down for reclaimed wood.
This stuff will come in handy.
Ragged thin wool sweater. Okay. 27%. Ugh. Mostly for looks, but provides some warmth, and being knit from wool remains warm when wet. So yeah, they've kind of awesomely built in that stuff, because as we knitters know, wool remains warm when wet. So they've actually built that into the clothing system. Like the type of material it's made out of.
I think I can use this.
Let's crouch. I don't see anything else on the floor. So we will hop over to the other cabins, I think, before we rest. Still foggy, though it's still so beautiful, even in the fog. There's so many times I have just like been like, I'm just gonna capture a screenshot after screenshot after screenshot of this game. Yeah, so see now we walk behind the hill, you can see there's the windbreak symbol at the top. So you can get it too. Ah, there's the crows. So yeah, you can get it too when you're just wandering around if you happen to be in a spot that sort of shelters you from the wind. And it does calculate like wind direction and stuff, and you will actually move slower if the wind is blowing in your face. Woot! hatchet, just standing out here with some fur firewood. Where's the corpse? There's the corpse. We haven't come across one yet, but sometimes there are corpses inside as well. When we came up the steps to the... There's usually anything over here. I will look just in case. When we came up the steps in the camp office to the top floor, sometimes there's a dude, like a frozen to death dude, at the top of the steps, who I usually just call Dave. Which can be kind of creepy. But you get used to it after a while, which is, you know, also probably fairly kind of accurate. It's one of those ways that this game can be kind of macabre as well. But, you know, realistically so. You know, like, looting bodies is a perfectly good way to find stuff. Oh yeah, wood matches. I'm checking in all the crates. Actually, since I hadn't explained that. Nothing on the shelf. Let's crouch. I don't see anything. Floor. Other than by the chair. But yeah, I mean, like...
Wonder if the owner's around.
Well, the owner's probably outside. Well, he had a backpack with him, though. And which, as I should mention, you know, in Sandbox, as you can see so far, like, oh, it's brightened up. Look at how pretty. In Sandbox mode, there is no one. In story mode, there will be other characters. There will be characters to interact with, and you will have to... You know, part of it will be like, do you trust people? How do you deal with hostile people? Pinnacle, beaches.
Hope nobody needs this anymore.
But in Sandbox, because it's, you know, because it was basically early access, and the limitations of the dev team and stuff, like trying to get salted crackers, condensed milk, you know, trying to get the Sandbox mode out as well. Obviously, like, trying to do people in this version as well, like, would have been way too difficult and taken up way too much time when they've been, you know, trying to get story mode done. Okay.
Oh, I would do anything for a drink right now.
Yeah, you'll be fine in a sec. I should mention too, like, in case you recognize that voice, the voice actor for the female survivor and for
the pack is getting too heavy
character
to carry.
Astrid in the story mode is Jennifer Hale, which some people recognize from Portal and other games.
What
It'd
have
still
we
be
here?
cookie, tin of sardines. I can find a fair amount of food over here, which is good. Still no gun. Okay. Also notice how slowly we're moving right now. That's because we are encumbered. Like, very encumbered. Oh, and there's a wolf. Which we don't need to really worry about. I think we will hit the last cabin over here, and then we will take a sleep, and I might actually leave it for now. Because it's 9:30 and I should do some podcast editing before we go to bed. And you'll notice the red circles because I just hit the button to sprint, and that is not available because I am carrying too much stuff. There was actually a time in my other save where, like, like, oh, what is wrong with my keyboard? Why am I not moving? Why am I not moving? And then I realized, oh, I am that encumbered that I cannot move. It's like, yeah, maybe I'm gonna fix that. So yeah, I think I will leave it here. Ooh, book. There's an angler. Yeah, I think I'll leave it here. And because it just saved. And so if you have any questions about like how to play the game, or if you want me to show you a certain mechanic or whatever, or like how do you do this, or what was when I did the thing, what was I doing, just leave a comment and let me know, because I will probably play more Long Dark. I will definitely be doing Wintermute this week. So actually, let's stop it for tonight. Okay, thanks for joining me, everybody. Bye.